Okay, let's take a look at how to make a more complicated label using FacilityWare for SafetyPro label printers. I've got a label loaded up here that has quite a few different elements. So let's look at deconstructing this first, and then I'll show you how you can kind of start from scratch and do some more complicated things. First of all, this has some frames, some horizontal lines. It's also got some images here with the recycling image and a whole bunch of images over here on the right hand side. And then it has some inverted text. You can see we've got white on black selected here. So it's inverted. Makes it stand out a little bit more. Different fonts. You can see this one is a pipe marking font. It's a little more narrow. And then let's just take a quick look at this here, this piece here with all these different parts. I'm just going to bring them. Notice how I'm bringing these pieces off to the side of the label. When you're working on a label, anything that's off of the label won't get printed. So when I'm working on different elements of a label, I'll move them off to the side so I can kind of see them a little more clearly and not have to worry about them on my label. So first of all, let's look at these two things here. We're just tearing this label to pieces. I'm going to delete some of this stuff just so it's not in our way. I guess we can leave that there. So these, notice how when I move these icons, it's two icons together. I'm going to right click on this and say ungroup. So these are actually just two icons, and I wanted to keep their spacing consistent, so I had highlighted them both by drawing a square around them, and I right clicked and I hit group. When you do that, it turns them into one, and they can be moved as one. But when you're working on them, you don't really want them grouped. So right now I'm going to ungroup those just to show you that these are icons that were included with FacilityWare. They're exit icons. The diagram that I'm pulling apart was the diagram of a production floor. These represent tables, and these represent the recycling areas on that D2 production floor, which matches with what's on this label. You'll notice these are also grouped. So I'm going to ungroup those. See, now they're separate squares. And these, so let me just show you what each of these items was. So these exit signs, let's just go ahead and pull them over. I pulled over an image object from the toolbox. And there's an exit sign folder. So you see we've got one facing left. I did it, pulled over the image object again. Oops, wrong folder. Here's the one facing right. They're huge, right? But that doesn't mean we have to leave them that way. You just scale them down using the green dots, just like everything in FacilityWare. So what I had done was I scaled them down real slow. Let me reopen this so I can show you again. Oh, it's already open. Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to save this one as something else. Just want you to be able to see by comparison the one we're tearing apart and the one we're not. So this was a diagram of a production floor, and we're just going over how you might make something like that. All right, so that's the diagram. Here's us tearing it to pieces. So these, like I said, were represented tables on the production floor. Let me show you how to make those. See, these double ones right here are just groups, so if you ungroup them, it becomes two boxes. And if you go in your toolbox, you can pull over a rectangle, drop it on your label. If you double click on it and go to fill, you can make it solid. And that's all I did for those. I just made a rectangle, made it solid, made it the size I wanted, copied it, pasted it. Now here's the tricky part. You see, you get them right next to each other, but maybe they don't line up. They're a little bit off, so you can highlight them both. And all these alignment tools become available. So I'm going to make them both connected at the top like that. Now they're aligned perfectly. Now let me delete those. I'm going to delete some of these as well. This production floor happens to have seven production lines, or assembly lines. So see, we got 4 right here. Well, we need a few more. Let me just copy this using Control C and Control V. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But you know, you copy them and they look like this. Like, I don't want to have to manually move all those around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a box around all of those. And I'm going to use these alignment tools. Align to left. They're all left aligned, but look how the spacing is not good between them. There's different spacing. So this tool right here, space evenly vertically. It's set to what I had it set to before, which is 0.08 inches. I hit OK, and now look, they're perfectly spaced out. So just to show you how quick and easy that can be, let me duplicate that to some degree from scratch. Pull over a rectangle, tell it to be solid, hit OK, resize it to about the size of 1/2 of the assembly line, copy it and paste it, get my spacing, align them. Then I'm going to do this, I'm going to group those, right click and group them. Now it's just one object, they move as one. Then I'm going to copy them down to 7 assembly lines, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now I'm going to highlight them all at once. I'm not even going to worry about trying to make them look straight. And I can align to left, space vertically, boom. So really in just a minute or two, once you get used to it, you can make complex graphics using FacilityWare that represent things in your facility, things that you know, you might want to put on a label. You don't have to stick with labels that are basic. You can have labels that will do anything you want. And then to finish off, just let me show you this one more time here. See, this has a frame around it. It has some text, it has some graphics. So let's just finish that off here. Now, these we had pulled over. I'm going to delete this one. Let's say I want them all, you know. Oh, let me show you one more thing actually. This is facing left and right, but I want them to be the same size. So I can double click on this and go to dimensions. And I can put in the exact size that I want these. I don't have to just stretch them around. So those are both 0.25 inches. And I want them all to match. So I'll just type in the size manually. Now these match. Now again, well, let me put my frame in here first. And do one thing at a time. I'm going to use that rectangle shape again. That's kind of a thin frame though. I'll double click on it, go to my border, and I can change the border thickness. So let's do it like that. Here brings up another thing. See how I made the border after I made those? Let's do this. Right click, send to back. See, now the border is behind everything else. Now I'm going to hold Control and click on these. And I'm doing this kind of fast, but I'm just trying to demonstrate that once you get the hang of it, this doesn't take a long time. Play with it, learn it. It's not hard. And once you do it a few times, it becomes fast. So I click these two, go up to my alignment tool, and align them to the top. See? Now they're both kind of lined up. I'm going to right click them, group. Now they move together. So I'm going to copy that group and paste it. Now I have those icons that represent the 4 exits on this assembly floor, the production floor. This is just a text box with D2 in it. So let me grab some text. And D2. You see that one down there is kind of bold, so let's make this one bold. You could use stretchable text. It doesn't matter. It's just up to what you want to do. If you want to set a little more fine control and you want to set the size manually, you can do that. You just set it to 14. Let's make our life a little easier with these things right here, because they're a little unruly with so many. I'm going to highlight them all and hit group. So it's like a double grouping. They were already grouped. Now I've grouped them as one giant solid object. It's because now that I've made the production floor diagram, I don't want to have to send that to the back. I don't want to have to move it around individually. So move the whole thing. And then these two were just black squares again, and these two are pictograms. But just to be complete, let me show you how you can make them from scratch. Brought over a rectangle from the toolbox, set it to solid fill. I'm going to get it down to the size I want for the recycling containers. Copy it and paste it, highlight them both, and line them up. It's pretty easy. Now let's get these pictograms. I'm going to drag over the image object and go to arrows. That's the arrow that I used down there, so I'm just going to use the same one. You know, whatever size you want it. That one down there is pretty small. It's just so people can see where to put the recycling. Now here's the trick, if I can remember where to find the recycling label. It's in there somewhere. There's over 2,500 images in here, so nobody can keep track of them all. Let's see. It might be under miscellaneous. Well, for the sake of this video not being too long, I'll probably just use the one. Oh, there it is. It's under miscellaneous. Now you know where to find the recycling image. Let me just resize that real small. And don't worry about it not looking stellar on your screen. It'll look fine when it prints out. If you zoom in on it, it looks better. So there you go. We've kind of recreated what we had here in this one in just a few minutes. So you can see how that's done. Now let me zoom way out. And let me just delete the old one that we had. And now for my final step, I'm going to highlight the whole thing. Right click on it and say group. And there you go. I see I made this one a little too large, but I can scale the whole thing as a group. See that? Of course, my D2 kind of got cut off, so I'm going to ungroup this. I didn't make the text box big enough. There we go. There we go. That's how you make a little bit more complex label elements using FacilityWare for the SafetyPro label printer.